What you got in
All right, Coach, you want to start with the opening statement?
Guys, I've just got no answer the way we're starting. We look good in practice. We look good in our preparation. Our coaches are working hard. Our players go through our preparation. Then we go out there and start the game, and we forget what we're doing. I have no answer for that. The only thing I know to do is just keep working. Repetition may pay off if we just keep doing and working every day. You know, again, we're not shooting the ball well. We're 8 of 23, but you take all those last 4 or 5 or last 3 or 4 threes late, and you put them early, and we're still in the ball game. They outscored us 1 point the third quarter, and we outscored them 5 points the fourth quarter. So, but the first quarter 13-9, second quarter 22-6. We're not running our offense. And then when we got some people that act, you know, that in practice they're great at running our offense. We get out in the game and we forget what we're doing. Well, when you got 1 or 2 people don't know what's going on, it messes up everything else. Again, I thought we got great effort out of Macy Pfeiffer. I thought we got great effort out of Blair Bogus again. But our point guard struggled. 2 good young ladies, but we struggled handling the ball. Unforced turnovers again. We had 25 turnovers. That's 27, 22, 25. That's not like our teams. And we can't win basketball games doing that. And it's unforced turnovers. The first turnover we had was an unforced turnover. The second turnover we had was an unforced turnover. The third turnover we had was an unforced turnover. And that's the first quarter. That's where we're mishandling the basketball. And we work on that every single day. And we talk about it every single day. But when you're giving a team like Auburn, a team like Tennessee, a team like Belmont, a team like Mississippi State, you can't do that and win those games. And there'll be some teams in our conference that may not be as powerful as them, but they'll be as good as them. And so we've got to get all that straightened out. Now we got to go on the road and play a Wichita State team that I'm sure is licking their chops right now, thinking, you know, we're going to get a win here to end Christmas. What we got to do is we got to go out there and get us a win. That's what we got to do.
When it's tough to get the ball to Blair, have you identified a go-to player for you guys?
No. You know, really and truly, the reason it's tough to get the ball to Blair, we're not making a pass. We're holding on to the ball too long. And then when Blair gets open, you know, then they're going in and doubling, and she's still able to get her hands on the ball. But a couple of those were Blair's fault also. I think Blair had a couple of turnovers, I'm not sure. But we've been working on that. You know, she had 3 turnovers. And those 3 turnovers were, I know 2 of them were where we got her the ball, and it come off her hands, and they were able to get it and go. So, but you can't fault. Blair's in there digging and scratching and going after every rebound and diving after, you know, that's what we got to have. I saw better effort out of some of our players tonight, but still we got to do a better job.
What does it take to get AC going like we saw in that fourth quarter? She's kind of been quiet the last few
I can't
games.
answer that question. I don't know. I mean, we give her the green light to shoot the ball whenever she's got the ball. And she just won't shoot it. Now, she started shooting it late. Matt got on her pretty hard after we took her out. I don't know how many minutes did she get. She ended up getting 19 minutes the second half. You know, we need those 19 minutes in the first half. We need that shooting that she did in the first half. That's what we brought her on board for. And, you know, we could go with some of the things, maybe the not swimming down in the backside, maybe not stepping over the top of screens and like that on defense with her if she's putting the ball in the hole. But when we ain't got anybody putting the ball in the hole and we got people not carrying out our defensive strategies, you know, we got to do something. But it comes right down to we got to have better. I'm not going to say effort. We're getting effort, but we got to have better decision-making at the point guard. And we got very poor decision-making at the point guard. Now, Carson got some buckets for us, and we know she's a great shooter, and we didn't bring her in here to be point. But we ended up in this situation, and, we got to make the best of it.
Coach, Emily's minutes have increased each of the last 3 games. And can you speak on why
I'm
what
very
she's
happy.
done well and what she can keep doing to
Let me
increase them more?
tell you about Emily. Emily is in here every morning shooting. There's not a morning I come in she's not shooting. Okay? Emily wants to play. I mean, what did she get rebound wise? Let's see here. Munson. She ended up with 2 rebounds. I'd like to see that around 5 to 6 rebounds. And as she gets more time and gets a little more cagey, that's going to happen. But Emily is at it. She's got a tremendous attitude. And, she couldn't do any worse than what we were doing. So my thing was, let's give her a chance. She's nearly 6 foot tall, maybe 6'1", shoots the ball extremely well. Let's give her a chance. Let's get her out there and get her some playing time. And I see her getting better. I see her whole body demeanor. I see her trying to be a leader. So, it's going to click for her. We got to hang in there with her, and she's got to hang in there with herself. But I'm very happy with Emily. There's a time, the other day she went on a 6-point run, I think, and then all of a sudden she had 3 turnovers in the middle. That's where we're not handling the basketball. Again, so that's unforced turnovers. That's turnovers we hadn't made in the past. So we if we can clear that up and make better decisions, we're going to be all right. In spite of what, it looks like, we're going to be all right.
There's quite a few times, Coach, where the shot clock, was running down and they were kind of.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's absolutely terrible. That's terrible basketball. Again, it comes back to decision making on the floor. It's terrible. If that's what you want, I don't know if that's what you want, but that's what I'm giving you. It's terrible.
Coach, I appreciate I'm going to look into this interview real fast.
Confidence-wise, after the Memphis game, it looked like a lot of these girls were gaining more confidence. You said, in practice, they're preparing, they're practicing. It looks like they have it. And then, they come out tonight, and there were moments where they were crumbling. I know that's difficult for you as a coach, especially with all of the history that you have, but how do you even start to talk to them about it?
I didn't see them crumbling. I really saw them playing better defense late than I saw them playing early. They went 22-17 in the 4th quarter. And I know that Auburn put some kids in about 2 minutes to go. So really and truly, and then I thought that they hit 2 or 3 shots that I thought no way it could go in, but they went in. So, I didn't see that. Now, I saw early on, we didn't know what we were doing. I saw that. But later on, I thought we did a pretty good job.
Coach,
We didn't win the game. We didn't do a good enough job winning the game. But I saw some things I can build on right there.
Coach, you mentioned the perimeter defense just a little bit there.
The what now?
Perimeter defense. Auburn shot 50% tonight. Where do you see the breakdown happening? Is it?
Well, we got the perimeter defense. You got to be gutsy. You look at what we had there last year with Jalen Gregory. We would put her on the best player, and that player would be lucky to touch the basketball. So defense comes down to just having a lot of guts, a big heart, and going to get the job done. And we're not doing that. We're not doing that as a whole. We haven't got a Jalen Gregory, but we got 6 perimeter players that have come out of their high school programs that are good players. And, they've had to learn how to play defense. You got to play defense Division I. And most of the players that they're matching up against are players that have got experience, that are a little bigger, a little stronger, maybe a little laterally quicker, maybe a little more vertical. So they're challenged. It's not like they're walking out there and they're guarding someone like themselves. They're challenged. But, hey, you got to love those. That's what sports is all about. You got to, you got to want that challenge. And then you got to answer the bell on that challenge. And once you do, then you get that taste in your mouth. You got to have it again. Then you got to have it again. Then the next thing you know, you're pointing to everybody and you're telling people what to do and how to get up the line, and you got your communication skills are picking up. We hadn't got that taste yet. Now, if we can get that, that's really going to help us become a better basketball team. But we hadn't got that, and that's what we'll be working on.
with this being your final home game before conference play, what do you think the team needs to get down against Wichita and then your first road trip?
I think we got to come in tomorrow, and we got to come in again with like we did yesterday and today. I thought yesterday we had a great attitude, we had a great practice. I thought today we had one of our best shoot-arounds. But I didn't know what to expect as a head coach. I'll be honest with you. Coming out to the floor, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't expect what we got. I'll tell you that after the way we played our practice early. So, those are the type of things we got to figure out as coaches. It gets exasperating as a coaching staff, from me all the way down through Nina and Tom, and then Matt and Kim. When you work on things and you put time in and effort in, and you get the scouting reports to them, and they sit there shaking their head, and then you don't execute. That's exasperating to a coaching staff. And then you see it again. Then all of a sudden you see them do something positive. So it's there. We got to do a better job of starting our games. I'll give you an example. I don't want to name any names, but we thought we'd come out and run Utah. We went away from Utah. We started every game last year in Utah, and that gets everybody moving. And we get to our third cut, and we stop. We got a young lady that stops. I'm standing there thinking, Then we get in a shot clock. So, then we come back down and we get in another shot clock. Now, as a head coach, I'm thinking, what in the world are we doing? So we gotta prevent that. And I know what some people will say, well, you're young. We are young, but we're also smarter than that. And we practice harder than that. And we got to do a better job bringing that from the practice floor out here to start games. And we got to go through the whole game with it.
Any more questions?
Thank you, guys.
Macy on your right, Carson in your middle, and Blair on your left.
Carson, you're back in the starting lineup. I know you've kind of fought a little injury there with Memphis, played a lot on Sunday. I guess just to give us a feel, how are you feeling? How's that injury progressing for you?
I'm feeling good. Coming back was lights out. I mean, I didn't think I was going to be able to play on Sunday, and they put me in and gave me a chance. So I just went in and I played my hardest, and then I performed, so then I got to start today.
When we talked to you earlier in the year, you talked about how making the most of your moments, and today you put up a career high in points. Talk a little bit about your development. How do you feel you're developing in that new position at point guard? Because Coach said, that wasn't why he recruited you to be a point guard, but you've kind of fallen in that position.
I mean, yeah, I came here to be a shooting guard, but I mean, just playing the point, I used to play that in high school a lot, so I feel a little bit comfortable here. But I mean, just getting that change from high school to college, the point guard's position is a lot harder. So, I mean, I'm just trying to get a feel for that. And today he told me to take the ball and go score. So, I mean, I tried my best.
He talked too, I'm sure you heard there, a little bit about just the lack of execution. The practice looks great. Game day, it's not so much. What needs to happen in that transition from practice to game?
I mean, I feel like energy. We need a lot more energy and execution. We execute all the time in practice, and it's great. And then we just get into a game and we just stop, and we need to figure that out. And I feel like as we get closer and the team progresses along the year, I think that will happen.
Macy, same question to you. How do you feel as far as this team progressing in that execution phase? I know you've been executing a lot higher these last couple games. How do you feel about your game, but as well as the team? What's kind of that missing piece?
Yeah, I think, like Carson said, energy. We practice hard. Our coaches push us really hard in practice, and we execute in practice. We've just got to carry that over. And I guess as we keep playing, we'll figure out what it is that we're not what's the difference. But eventually, it's just got to click, because we're doing really good in practice, and it's just not translating to the game, and we've got to fix that.
Talk about ironing some things out here with non-conference play. I mean, he talks about taking care of the basketball, execution, those kind of things. Is there an area that when you go to practice, this is the thing that I have to get better at?
Yeah, I know earlier in the year I really struggled with being tight with the ball, especially coming from high school. I could kind of just play, be loose with the ball, but there's a lot more pressure. So I had to learn how to be tight with my game. And I think I've kind of made that translation, but there's still times that I slip up and there's still times that I try to split people when I don't have a lane. And I think a lot of our turnovers are coming from the late clock. And so I think if we can clean up those kind of things, that'll help our turnovers.
Blair, our interview that we had back in October came out today, and I thought it was timely because we made this prediction back in October that non-conference is just going to be hard. You're going to have your ups and your downs, and you've certainly had your ups and your downs to this point. And you also said championships aren't won in November and December. I mean, talk about that message. How is morale in the locker room right now facing, again, this tough non-conference schedule?
Yeah, absolutely. We know we're facing tough competition, but that's not something we should take lightly. I mean, I know we're playing Auburn, but who cares? Go out there like you're playing the worst team. I mean, go out there, bring your energy, play the best that you can play, and you'll win games after that. Like you said, or like I said earlier, you don't win championships in November and December. So we're going to have to carry that over to January, February, March so we can get better.
Talk about these games in particular challenging you, but as this non-conference has gone on, it's evident when you touch it, you're going to have two girls right there with you. How are you kind of handling that pressure and that scout on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, me and one of my coaches watched the game from Sunday, and we saw the double teams, and I was kind of forcing my shots. So today I really tried to kick it out, but in the second half I realized I need a score. So, I mean, I just had to try to take it to them and do the best that I could do, even if I couldn't kick it out, score it myself.
Macy, you talked about struggling with the shot clock today. What needs to change with the offense to find those open looks sooner in that?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it all just comes back to execution. I think there's times where we're loose with the ball and, still, we've moved a lot of people around. Y'all know that. And I think that we've got to just learn the plays and get those down pat. And so that way there's no gray area. We know what we're doing and we know what we're expected of each other, and we just come in and we execute that.
Carson, something Coach talked about too, Macy and Blair get a bulk of the minutes, and there's a lot of rotation in that guard position. Talk about that inner dialogue maybe with yourself or with your other guards about what you have to do in these moments to keep that and maintain that playing time.
As a point guard, I have to know every position, basically. So I'm just trying to learn, like, everybody I'm playing with and just getting who to get the ball to and who to not pass it to. Like, if I need to pass it to a shooter, I need to pass it to a shooter. If I need to pass it to a driver in this situation, I need to pass it to a driver, and just figuring all that out.
The next 3 games are on the road until you're back here January 8th. Anybody can answer this, but I know when coaches said it, like on the road, especially defensively wise, that's when you have to be at, your highest level of play. For you all coming off of this loss, how are you going to make sure that you are translating from practice to the game when it comes to especially those away games?
Yeah, I feel like we got to translate our energy from practice to on the road to in the game. So there's a 3-way steps, and you got to take it all the way on the bus. I mean, literally be thinking about practice, thinking about what you're going to be doing on the plane. I mean, it's a lot of energy and time and a lot of competition, so you got to bring it every single day, even if it is on the road, not just at home when people are cheering for you.
And either of you all can answer this. I know for most of you guys coming out of high school, you were the top players where you're coming from. This is probably different for all 3 of you guys. How have you been processing that and just trying to look back at why you even love this sport and making sure that you're continuing to apply the best that you can?
I think it's really easy to remember why I love the sport, like when you're surrounded by these girls, because they're so awesome and positive, and our coaches support us. I think we just need to trust our coaches. They've had plenty of girls come from high school, and we just got to trust what they're saying and take it in and apply it to the game. And I think when we start really trusting them and trusting that they know what they're talking about and we apply it, I will say that that's one of the positives at the end of that game is defensively. We started buying into what our coaches have been trying to get us to do all season long, and it worked. Like, it showed. And so I think if we take that and translate that to all aspects of our game, I think that's really when we're going to see success.